Top 5 ways to bring in your soulmate for both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Let's go.
From a guy's standpoint in a relationship to setting standard as well. So often, going back to my original one about men being delusional in what they want in a woman and stuff. And so often we feel that you have to be this strong man, right? Strong version of a person that is in control of the situation, in control of relationships, to where you may not put your best foot forward and show your true authentic self. And so you tend to be, you know, like myself coming out of a 25-year marriage, you know, my first thoughts to that was, hey, I want to be a player. Like, I want to go out and I want to date a bunch of women, and I want to, you know, see what it is that's out there for me and stuff, because I had been in a marriage for so long. But then I got out in that dating world and went on a few dates and realized that wasn't who I was inside. You know, once I really recognized that and determined that, no, this isn't the man that I want to be. But I had to dive into that and get out of that delusion of the stereotypical thought of what I wanted, right? And what I thought my standard was, which was just being out there and dating anybody, right? And so it took me doing a lot of individual work and recognizing that and owning that that wasn't something I wanted to do, and then build that standard as well. Like for me, I went on many dates and just said, no, this isn't what I want to settle for, because what was key to me was staying true to myself. And that, I think, is the most important thing that you can bring to a relationship, is your authentic self. And so without that, then what are you bringing? So, you know, what are you bringing to the table? You're bringing you, but you're not bringing all of you. And so you'll never be able to be a complete person in that relationship without it. So it's key to have that standard and never lower that standard. And as she was alluding to her friends and stuff, and what I'm seeing and how these men are treating these women, it's because that's what the women are allowing them to get away with and stuff. And unfortunately, there's so many men out there that have a controlling personality, and so they'll test the waters and they'll see what can I get away with today, and if she allows me to do this, then they're going to keep pushing the envelope and the envelope and the envelope, right? But that's, as a guy, you're never going to find true love and try and find a soulmate either, because you're not truly loving that person. Your brain, your mind, your body's not into that relationship if you're doing that, because you're not authentically loving her for just her and being there for her. For me, I would do anything, right? I'm obsessed. I'm in love. I care. So there's nothing I wouldn't do for her. And if you're not in that mindset, that means you're still delusional and living in your own insecurities as a man.
Ooh, I love that so much. And I think it leads back to steps 1 and 2, which are, you know, get real with yourself as a man and seek help. Because then you get authentic with yourself. You break those delusions with men. It's so much about delusion from what you've taught me. And so as you do those first 2 steps, you get clear on what you want, because it's going to match who you are authentically, not the mask,
right?
Not the ruse,
not the fake image.
The fake image that so many men out here
feel the need to do.
Right. Okay. 4 is the 4th step to call in your soulmate. Meeting your own needs. Being alone and meeting your own needs as you would look to a soulmate to do somewhat. It's meeting those needs yourself. So as a feminine, to do that, you really need to get okay with being alone. And it's especially hard for women. Like you were saying in our last step 3, men flex being out there alone. They love to be the player, like the playboy. But for women, our currency in the patriarchy is to be chosen. And so when we are not chosen, we feel that we don't have value. So many women settle for bad men because they need to feel that they are chosen and valued. So number 1 is getting okay with being alone. And what do you want to have in a soulmate? For me, it was meaningful conversations. It was authentic, deep conversations with my soulmate. And so even though I didn't have my soulmate yet, I would seek out conversations with the people around me. With my friends, my bar was either you meet me in authenticity, can have deep conversations with me, or you're not worth my time. I'd rather be alone and listen to a podcast where I feel like I'm engrossed in a deep conversation with podcasters. I'd rather do that than go out for drinks and have shallow conversation about bullshit. Like, I want genuine conversation, so I'm going to meet that need. Another thing that I wanted a soulmate to give me, like little gifts. I like thoughts. I like to know that my person is thinking of me. I like flowers. I like just little gestures. And so I would do that for myself. When I went out, I would prioritize myself. I would buy little things for myself that I wanted. If I wanted that pair of earrings at Target, I would grab that pair of earrings. And I know it sounds trite, but it's like all those little things build up, and pretty soon you're so okay alone because you're meeting your own needs. So it's getting okay with yourself and replicating the feelings of what a soulmate would give you for yourself. And as you feel those feelings, you attract that energy of abundance and love and authenticity into your life, thereby calling in a soulmate.
Going along with a relationship to a masculine man, and in that is, I think key is you have to get real. You know, you need to get real with yourself. So often we're just not real, you know, and understanding what it is that we truly want in a soulmate. And you need to, you know, through all the other steps that we talked about, and once you've gotten to that point, you have to continue to evaluate what it is that you truly want. You know, what do I want in a relationship? What do I need? What are my personal needs from somebody? And I agree with the alone part too. I took a long time. I spent, you know, I started dating and then chose that I wasn't ready to date because it wasn't really who I wanted to be. And then I decided I just needed to self-reflect on myself. And then I started doing little things by myself. You know, I started setting an alarm clock to get up early in the morning on weekends and go to the beach alone and just spend quality time with myself, you know. And I enjoy the beach because we live in Southern California and we have a beautiful place to look at. I can go swim in the ocean in the mornings. It's so peaceful. Then I can sit out, enjoy the sun, and there's nothing around but the sound and the crash of the waves, and, you know, the birds that are chirping in the background, and watching the dogs run on the beach. It's just such a peaceful moment for you just to sit there by yourself. It's an easy place to go alone, you know, that there's no pressure to feel like, oh, people are looking at me because I'm by myself, you know. And so it really helped me, like, kind of self-meditate in a sense, and kind of dive into, well, what do I really want in a relationship, you know. And when I started to think about things like that, that is when I was able to really determine how I wanted to go about my future dating, and how, you know, what it is that I was going to accept. And going back to the other step, to step 3, right? And standards and stuff. And so that's where I was able to build my standards, was through that alone period in time. And then it allowed me to really reflect on the type of woman that I wanted to be with, the type of person that I needed. And, you know, so I started kind of listing what are some of those things. I need someone who was not only an attractive individual, but I wanted somebody who was smart, had the same time a desire to communicate like I do. So that we could hit at every level, not just at base levels, but that we would be able to go so beyond just a physical attraction that it would be a mental attraction. So for me, I need that mental stimulation, and, you know, I wasn't going to accept anything less than that in a relationship moving forward. So I think it's key to really kind of, like I said, be real with yourself. Be comfortable with saying, I don't just need an attractive woman, but I need all these other qualities in her too. And then not lower that standard just because, well, I'm physically attracted to her and I'm a guy, so that's all that's important. No, that's very baseline. And so you need to really dig in and start figuring out what beyond that is important to you.
And you won't know what's important to you unless you do that inner work that we talked about in steps 1, 2, and 3. You won't actually know yourself, which leads to step 5.
I didn't know that night I'd find my person, my heart.